For decades, he said nothing, and then Anthony Quinn finally told the truth about John Wayne. When Anthony Quinn looked back on his life, he wasn't interested in polishing legends, he was interested in human beings. Born Antonio Rodolfo Quinn Oaxaca in 1915 in Chihuahua, Mexico, his journey to Hollywood royalty was anything but glamorous. His family fled the violence of the Mexican Revolution and settled in Los Angeles, where poverty shaped his earliest years. He sold newspapers, worked in butcher shops, labored wherever he could. A childhood accident that cost him part of a finger could have ended his ambitions, but instead, it awakened something deeper. During recovery, he immersed himself in philosophy, literature, and art. Even studying architecture under Frank Lloyd Wright, Quinn learned discipline and design, tools he would later apply not to buildings, but to characters. Hollywood in the 1930s offered him little mercy. As a Mexican-born actor, he was boxed into stereotypes: bandits, villains, nameless laborers. But Quinn refused to be small. Even in minor roles, he radiated intensity. Then came his breakthrough in Viva Zapata, where he stood beside Marlon Brando and delivered a performance so raw it earned him an Academy Award. Another Oscar followed for Lust for Life. And soon, the world would never forget him as the exuberant, defiant spirit of Zorba the Greek. Quinn didn't just act, he embodied cultures, passions, contradictions. Over 150 films. Warriors, artists, revolutionaries. He was global before Hollywood knew what that meant. But among the many giants he worked with, one name loomed larger than most: John Wayne. 4 years, Quinn stayed silent about Wayne. The Duke was the symbol of American masculinity, patriotic, commanding, untouchable. But late in life, Quinn decided myth deserved honesty. John was a force, he reflected. When he walked onto a set, the air shifted. Quinn respected Wayne's instinct before the camera. Directors deferred to him. He knew how to own a frame without appearing to try. But that power extended beyond film. Wayne believed he understood what America should look like, sound like, believe. And Quinn, the immigrant who fought to escape stereotypes, felt that contrast deeply. "I came from the outside," Quinn admitted. John stood at the center. Politically, they were opposites. Wayne was fiercely conservative. Quinn embraced a broader, borderless humanism. Yet Quinn refused to paint him as a villain. "He didn't belittle me," he said. But he didn't question the system either. That, to Quinn, was the quiet divide. He also saw something others missed. The toughness. Some of it was real. Some of it was armor. Once the world decided who he was, Quinn said, he had to be that man every day. To Quinn, Wayne carried the burden of his own legend. Strength can become a prison when you're not allowed to bend. Still, there was respect. Professionalism. Silent approval. With John, silence meant you'd done well. By the end of his life, Quinn wasn't interested in tearing statues down. He simply wanted truth. "History turns people into monuments," he said. But we were men. Complicated. Flawed. In his final years in Rhode Island, far from studio lights, Anthony Quinn chose peace over applause. When he passed away in 2001, the world mourned not just an actor, but a force of nature who had lived fiercely, loved recklessly, created endlessly, and finally, spoken honestly. Because in the end, breaking his silence wasn't about John Wayne. It was about humanity.